Well, hey, welcome everybody. How you doing, Healy World? Thanks for joining us for another session of Tech Tip Tuesday. My name is Ken Close, Healy World member here in the United States, engineer and Healy lover. I'm joined by our head of operations, Jake Barron. Where are you? You're in Orlando today, aren't you?
I am in Orlando today, yes, and usually in Orlando too, but
Usually. Well,
yeah,
thanks for being here, Jake. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
yeah.
So we also have a live representative in the chat. Who's with us tonight, Jake?
We have Dongni helping us out in the chat. She does a great job on our tech support team, so happy to have her helping out on the call tonight.
Yay, thank you very much for being here. We so much appreciate you guys in the customer service department. Believe me, it's awesome to have this asset on our Tech Tip Tuesdays. So if you haven't been here before to Tech Tip Tuesday, well, first of all, welcome and thank you for being here. If you have, great, this will be old news to you, but let me tell you how it works. What this is a chat-based forum where you put your questions in the chat and we will unpack those questions here live on the call between myself, Jake, and our customer service rep in the background. Keep notes there of what's going on in that chat, because that's where a lot of things happen as well. But what we can talk about is all the stuff Healy technology, right? We're talking about the apps, the functionality, maybe some concepts, ideas, understandings around the system. Anything Healy. We don't really get into back office stuff and the business stuff much, mostly about how the tech works and any issues or problems or challenges you might be having. What we can't do is we can't treat, diagnose, prevent, or chat about any disorders, diseases, or physical ailments, or even programs to address such. So that's for the HealAdvisor Search app, which is an awesome asset that we have. And these calls are recorded, so they will be posted on our Healy America's YouTube page, as well as all these questions are categorized and thumbnailed essentially with hyperlinks, so super easy to navigate. So with all of that being said, hopefully you guys are in the right spot and you got some great questions. So Jake, you ready? You're muted, Jake. What happened?
Okay, yeah, I wasn't ready to go because I was muted, but now I am. So
all right, so let's see what we got here in the chat. Everybody, come on, light it up. Well, lots of thanks for being here. Welcomes. Welcome. Hi, everybody. I love it. This is awesome. So here's one right out of the gate. How does the frequencies differ when you use the MagHealy programs in the Blue app with the Healy versus the MagHealy itself? So this is a great question, because the question here is, how do the frequencies differ? And they actually don't. So the frequencies being transmitted or generated by the MagHealy hardware itself, or the frequencies being generated through the essentially the noise generator of the Blue Dot, they're the same frequencies. Here's the difference. The different modalities is that the Healy MagHealy hardware, whether it be the Healy or the MagHealy, the hardware generates energy from the device. Okay, the MagHealy generates a magnetic wave emission, an energy in magnetic waves. Okay, the Blue Dot, it's the hardware, essentially the Healy hardware, is sending those frequencies out of its noise generator. Simultaneously, it's sending those same energetic signals to the client, right? Directly through quantum entanglement with the client. And because we're using the Blue Dot, we know there's an associated client, right? You actually set up a client within the Blue Dot app. All the coordinates for that client are there. What are the coordinates of the client? Okay, well, their name, right? The time in which they were born. I mean, the date in which they were born, the place where they were born. So we have some chronological order, right, in the scheme of all history. Then we also have some demographic information on them, like where were they born, we have gender, we have a picture. We also take a vibrational reading with the Healy hardware, and that all gets put into the client record. Now we have a very specific, what I would call a UPS. You have a GPS, right? But this is a universal positioning signal for that individual. It's amongst the entire universe. Amongst the entire universe, that's the only client or the only form of energy being entangled with the database. And you've chosen the database of the MagHealy. And so whatever a scan has revealed in terms of the MagHealy frequencies being needed, it will then send those frequencies out of the Blue Dot app into the client's field. Okay. It is a little bit different. The MagHealy is sending magnetic energy. The Blue Dot is sending magnetic energy out of the Healy, but also quantum entanglement with the entity or the client. Okay. Understand? Hopefully that makes sense. Jake, you want to add anything to that?
No, actually, I don't think anyone's ever asked this question before on this call, because, one of the things, the frequencies, as you mentioned, the same. I guess the only spot where it could differ is like if you're vibrating, let's say McMakin programs, which when you're using the MagHealy, you're doing two frequencies at the same time, which isn't possible using just the regular Healy device. So that's the only, I guess, the only sort of spot where it could differ there, that I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, the Healy hardware has a capability of transmitting frequencies between 0.1 hertz up to 1 megahertz, which is 1 million hertz. And that's broken down into hundreds of a hertz. I mean, all the way down in small increments. So you've got over 9 million different potential frequencies that can be sent out from this system, right? Same with MagHealy. But as Jake said, the MagHealy has 2 quantum sensors, 2 noise generators, essentially, to send 2 frequencies at the same time. That's only happening during the McMakin module. But also the other thing to think about too is the MagHealy is designed with a little more powerful punch, right? In terms of that magnetic transmission. So it has a bit of a standard operating range as far as how far it transmits. So the MagHealy is doing that. The Healy is doing, as I mentioned before, sending out those frequencies out of the system, out of the hardware, but in a smaller range, a smaller distance. I should say smaller range in terms of the effective range of, let's just say, radio transmissions being sent out of this. But when we're working with the Blue Dot app, I want you guys to understand that the Blue Dot app is in the quantum field. The quantum field is amongst the electron field, amongst the field of information where all things are tied. So it really has no range when we're talking about that. And it's speaking to the client's information field, which is the energetic body. And that's where that information is being sent. So you do them both because in terms of a magnetic wave does have a different influence on the body. And one who is sensitive to energy would really know what I'm talking about. So the MagHealy does have its set of assets. So don't think you're duplicating the exact same thing that MagHealy is doing. It really is not.
To answer that last question there, it doesn't mean you don't really need a MagHealy. That's not the case at all. It's nice that we're able to vibrate those programs, those frequencies into the information field via the Analyse app, but it doesn't replace using the MagHealy with the regular Healy app.
Yeah, magnetic fields, folks, is how pretty much any information is being transmitted from point of origin to point of destination. So like a radio transmitter somewhere in your hometown, right? And you tune your radio on your radio, you tune that radio tuner into a radio station. That information, what the radio is picking up, it's actually the antenna from that radio, whatever it's hooked to, is picking up magnetic waves. A magnetic wave oscillates throughout the entire world, but it has a maximum effective range. You've probably noticed as you're driving further away from your local area and you have a radio station tuned in on your radio, you get further and further away, it starts to get crackly, and pretty soon you lose the station, right? Well, kind of the same thing here. The further away you get from the MagHealy, the less energy of that magnetic wave. Now, when we're talking about the Healy and the MagHealy, and we're looking at the MagHealy frequencies, you have to just remember that what's coming out of the MagHealy hardware is essentially it's a magnetic wave that has a much stronger, I don't want to say much stronger. It has a different modality, okay? A different modality than the blue dot. The blue dot is working with your information field, much more subtle, much more subtle. The information field of you is more subtle. And when I say that, it's because your beliefs, perceptions, your mind, your personality has a huge influence to where the information field winds up being your tangible three-dimensional body. The mind gets in the way of perhaps what the quantum field information of you is. So I want you to understand that there is a version of you. Every form of energy has a purity, and you as a human form has a quantum signature. And it's not until you take this consciousness, this awareness of who we are, that we start to build it into a tangible body. And that's where things go awry. Healy sends frequencies to the information field of you, but your mind can still negate it. How many times have you changed your diet? Maybe you can eat the most non-GMO, the most organic, the most wholesome foods, but yet have a really crummy attitude, and you don't really tend to have a body that reflects the diet, right? Or an energy level that reflects the nutrient content. That's because the mind is negating the physical aspects. So when you're connected to the electrodes via the Healy, and you're running microcurrent into the body, it's much more difficult for the mind to negate the effects versus the blue dot information field. The mind can negate those effects easier, just because it's a more subtle influence, and the mind is a way less subtle influence. Don't get me wrong, the mind can still negate this microcurrent. I'm telling you, you can negate anything with the mind. But I want you to understand there's three different levels that we're talking about. The subtle information field, utilized and actuated by the blue dot. Yes, it incorporates the MagHealy programs, but it's on a subtle measure. And then we have essentially the frequency transmitter from the Healy, another magnetic influence, a subtle measure. Then we have the microcurrent influence, a much more tangible measure. Okay. All right. Next question.
Got a good question here from Lindley related to the Analyse 2 app. The question is, do you know why access to the advanced settings is not available in the free plan, please? It is the creative part, or the fun and creative part of the aura analysis module. So for anyone that's not aware, this is referring to the new Analyse 2 app. There's a fee structure that's going to go along with it starting October 1st. So there's a free plan, which is basically gives you access to 5 clients, demo mode, 6-month storage there. There's also the friends and family plan, which is sort of the middle plan, 20 clients, demo mode plus advanced features, and then the professional plan, which is unlimited clients, demo mode, advanced settings, and so on there. And every single Healy World member or customer that's an existing customer that has a Resonance or higher Analyse app access is going to be given the professional plan for life. So they will always, if you're a Healy World member now, or if you join tomorrow, if you join in August, if you join by September 30th, you will have access to that professional plan for life, which is close to a $200 value per year going forward. So it's really a great incentive for somebody that's, you know, a gift almost to someone that's already a Healy World member or customer, or anyone that's joining soon too, an incentive to not wait. If you've been considering a Healy device, to get in by September 30th. But the free plan, Martin Whitman explained some of this too in one of our recent calls, but a lot of people find the Analyse app, there's so many features available there. The new Analyse 2 app, which launches very soon, it makes it a lot easier. The user experience is much easier. The flow, it just the overall user interface is much improved, and we'll be talking more about that on our next Healy for Beginners and Beyond on August 3rd, next Thursday, August 3rd. But for the free plan, we found it can be overwhelming for somebody that's brand new, that doesn't have any experience, to know what to do with these advanced settings. And you notice anyone that's using the beta app, all the advanced settings, all the features are toggled by default to off. Because when you see them on the screen and you're clicking on these things and sorting the relevancies and editing lists and stuff, it's unnecessary for someone that's just starting, really, to go through all that when they're first joining Healy and getting familiar with the resonance and the Analyse and the aura and the coaching module, to be sorting this. So it's kind of, let's get everyone started. Let's keep it very simple to start. And then if you want to add on that feature, maybe just go up to the friends and family plan. It's a very low fee per year to be able to do that. And there'll be more information coming out about that as well here soon too. So Ken, anything to add about, sort of getting started with your resonance app? Because even without those advanced settings, it really is still extremely powerful, as is, and plenty for most people.
Yeah, I like you said, I totally agree with you. So I continue, and that's why we're here, because there's so much Healy can do that the moment your imagination starts to expand, there's a whole plethora of new questions. And so it's really better to get started simply, right? I mean, there's a reason that someone comes to Healy and buys a Healy. There's a reason for that. And trying to answer those reasons first, right, is really an advantage to that one person. Because if you overwhelm somebody, suddenly the reason they got here in the first place gets clouded. So I totally agree with you in terms of having that stuff on a basic plan and then expand from there. So yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things we're going to cover again on one of the Healy for Beginners and Beyond in August, is that this question popped up the other day. We had somebody that has been using the beta app for months now, and they were wondering, where did the record your own frequency go, and not realizing that there is a separate advanced settings section, and by default those were toggled off. So that feature has not been removed. It's just a different way to enable it. We'll cover that in some more detail next week.
All right. Okay, so great question though, and lots of stuff to cover. Here's another great question that again, I kind of touched on it a bit ago, but Jennifer asks us, so what physically and energetically happens when running frequency? This is a great question, because it's like you can't see it, right? So with the microcurrent, I understand we're receiving current into the cells to bump up cell voltage, but I'm unclear as to what exactly we are receiving into the body, say tissues and systems, with frequency. This is so some of my background is in epigenetics and neuroscience. So this is right up the alley of epigenetics. And here's why. To the tune of 800,000 cells per second, your body's regenerating itself. This is something that's happening behind the scenes, right? You're not doing it, are you? How many of you guys out there can stop your cell regeneration? How many of you can stop digesting your own food, right? Or how can you stop some of these systems? You don't, because there is a divine intelligence, an innate intelligence operating behind the scenes of your consciousness. What we see right now, everything we see, smell, taste, touch, and feel, is 2,000 bits of information into our consciousness. But what's going on in the background, or I should say even in the subconscious, is 400 billion bits of information going on between the brain and body through the reticular activating system. It's 400 billion bits of information. And this is a constant data stream between the brain and all the cell structures, everything within your body to keep it operating in this present moment. Now, all of that takes place at the speed of light and literally within the frequency of light inside the cell system water, intracellular and extracellular water within your body. So there's a constant communications channel, like getting on your cell phone and chatting with somebody across town or across the world. You're only talking to one person. Now get on your cell phone and chat with every cell phone user in the world. That's what this reticular activating system is doing. It's speaking to every cell in your body, okay? And a cell to generate into a new version of itself requires a code. We know this as the genetic code, yes? This genetic code, 3% of that code says it's going to be a bone cell, a muscle cell, a skin cell, whatever, 3%. The other 97%, now this is loosely terms of percentages. It's actually less than 3%. It says that it's going to be a bone cell, skin cell, muscle cell. But let's just go for that 3, and 97% of that genetic code is adaptive. And it's adaptive, reading the environment so that it can become a cell within your body, the overall system, that will survive in its environment. Now, understand that the external environment of the cell is the internal environment of your body. Here's the fun part. That 97% of the adaptive gene, that code, what it's looking for in terms of code is what I said earlier, is the way that your entire body communicates. That's frequency. That's frequency, energy. And so that 97% of the adaptive code is reading what? Reading the internal environment of your body. What's connected to the internal environment of your body? The microcurrent. So microcurrent is sending signals through the internal environment of your body, speaking to those 800,000 cells per second, influencing that 97% of the adaptive code that becomes the next cell. Think about that for a minute. Think about that. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the mind also has a part to play in this, because every thought you have generates a signal. And that signal it generates is a frequency. Bad thoughts, bad frequencies. Good thoughts, good frequencies, right? So when you're feeling unworthy or in lack or in shame or in anger or in frustration or in fear, you're sending a very distinct frequency into the body, speaking to what? 800,000 cells per second. Okay. I need you guys to write this down, because I want you to take responsibility for how you're building your bodies. You can't give that power away, because you're not. Irregardless, if you didn't know this before, you do know it now. So you can't negate what I'm saying, because this is the tangible nuts and bolts of how you're built. And so Healy is speaking to that 97% of the adaptive gene of those 800,000 cells being produced every second. At the same time, as Jennifer says there, it is the cells that are currently already in place and operating you as a host are being charged up, okay? So microcurrent is proven through study after study since the early 1900s to increase ATP production by almost 500%. ATP production is the actual energy of the cell. It's also shown to increase ATP production, amino acid transport and protein synthesis. Okay, so protein synthesis by what? 70%. Amino acid transport by 40%. Now, I like to work with performance athletes. If I can just get 3% increase in performance out of an athlete, that's pretty good. We're talking 40%, 70%, 500% increases by microcurrent within these cell structures. And that's the current cells that are already in your living body by running the microcurrent. Okay. So now do you understand? Here's the significance of what we're doing with Healy. This microcurrent is not just a little flighty thing. And I, you know what? I have people that still get a hold of me that says, we're talking about using their Healy and they've never used the microcurrent before. They just use the blue dot. They just turn it on and run it. I didn't know it had anything else that we could do. This is why Jake's saying we need to start simple because we need these simple systems to teach people how to use it and then move on into the more complex. Okay, so the microcurrent is super important, super tangible when it comes to what's going on in the body. Epigenetics is a huge way of shifting these cell systems that create us. So hopefully that helped. Remember, this is all recorded, so you can go back to that section.
Yeah. Okay, got a good question here. All the questions are good questions, but of course, from Peggy here says, I subscribed to the digital nutrition app a few hours ago. I was able to use it with the Analyse app, the Blue Dot app, and vibrate it. I found it in the HealAdvisor, but it isn't fully active yet. Is there an instruction manual for it? And also, can I use it for clients or is it only for myself? So when you subscribe to the app module, you're going to need to go into not the Analyse app, the Blue Dot app, go into your Healy app, the Pink Dot app, and there should be an update pending for your device. When you connect for that next time, there should be at the top of the page, update available. Click OK, click that, install, and that will load the digital nutrition programs onto your Healy app. And then after that is when it should be active in your HealAdvisor app, where search lives and bioenergetic vitalization, natural cycle in that app itself, that should then be active there. So it actually is always included as part of the Analyse app, the Resonance database. Even if you're just like how some of the subscriptions, you might not have all the subscriptions, you might not have the watch program, but you can vibrate the watch programs via the Analyse app too. So complete that step in the Healy app, download that update, and then you should be good to go from there. As far as, so what was the other part of that question? Is there an instruction manual for it? There's not like a detailed guide, I would say, but we do have in back office, there are some resources available there. And then also, actually, during one of our recent this new product series we have, the product Healy 101 product, one of our members did a great training on digital nutrition, Colette, and that's available on our YouTube page. She actually went through digital nutrition and showed the shopping list and all that kind of stuff. So that might be a good resource for you to just check out there. Maybe it answers some of the questions that you have as far as what features are available there too. And again, I know you've talked about digital nutrition quite a bit as well on I guess many of our calls, but I don't remember exactly which one, but I know many times.
Yeah. Well, because the digital nutrition thing is like Jake said, it's always available on the Blue Dot, right? It's always been there as one of the databases in which you can do the analytics and then vibrate those frequencies into your body. Now, also, I want you to understand that too, that you can use the digital nutrition as a database for the analytics. So do an analysis with the resonance portion, and that will reveal what digital nutrition mixes or AKA programs are needed for your body. Then you can actually look up what's in those mixes as far as nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and maybe ingest those also while you do the vibration, which is another great tool. But anyway, that's always been available on the Blue Dot. And as Jake said, yes, you'll get an update on the Pink Dot. It's going to activate and boom. Now, here's the significance of the digital nutrition. The digital nutrition, go back to what I was saying around how these 800,000 cells become the next version. That coding system, all of this body needs certain energy. It needs energy to survive, right? It's an exchange. It's an exchange of energy for being, for acting, right? Everything's done by proteins. Every action within your body is done with a protein. So this genetic code system is also a series of proteins. So we need building blocks for proteins, AKA amino acids and certain things like that. So that's where this digital nutrition program really comes into effect. because it can send the frequencies of these essences into your body to improve cell structures, okay? Improve information into the genetic coding and the strands. So when you do a scan on yourself from that digital nutrition protocol, it's going to show what your body needs right now. And then you can run those vibrationally through the Blue Dot app, and that energy field is upregulated within this energetic body, and those cells get certain frequencies of those nutrients. It does not replace eating plated meals or food.
No.
It doesn't replace that. Folks, what this is going to do, let's just take it this way. Remember I said earlier, you could eat the most organic, non-GMO, holistic foods you want to, but if the mind is in disorder or disarray or in stress, it's going to negate the systems necessary to convert that food from solid into energy. When you eat that food, your body does not take that food into the cells. It takes the energy of that food into the cells. It breaks it all the way down into an energetic expression. Everything. That's what your digestive system does. Okay. When we transmit these frequencies via the digital nutrition protocol into our body, it's giving the same energy to those cells. And so it's actually increasing the bioavailability of the foods you do ingest. Because I promise you, a lot of the times the foods that we eat, if we're not in certain homeostasis, energetic rest and digest, in other words, the sympathetic, parasympathetic system, if we're not in that relaxed state, our digestive system is down-regulated to some degree. And so the bioavailability of what we do ingest is lowered. And then if you're eating foods that are GMO or chemically enhanced, or, you know what I mean, just non-useful. I'm not going to say a lot about that. If you're eating foods that are just not chemically balanced for you, then the bioavailability is going down even more because the body is in stress response trying to deal with the toxins. Another reason to go, more holistic in our diets. All right. Part of what my background is digital, is in performance nutrition coaching. And so it's a big deal when it comes to what you ingest. And I take it very seriously. So when digital nutrition came out, oh yeah, I was all over it. I didn't even know what it meant when it first came out. I was like, what is digital nutrition? I had to research what that meant. Healy made that up, and they created this, right? They created this and studied every nutrient and found the frequency of every single vitamin, mineral, nutrient known to man, known to everything, and made these frequencies and put them into mixes just for us. Okay.
Let's see. Good. Quick question here. Newbie here. Thanks for being on the call, Drew. Welcome. It says, what is the Blue Dot versus Healy 2? So yeah, we refer to something as Blue Dot and Pink Dot and Analyse app and HealAdvisor app and just Healy 2 app and Healy app. So it's a great question. So the Blue Dot app is what we also refer to as the Analyse app, and that's the app where you do the resonance scan, the aura scan, coaching module, and you're actually vibrating these frequencies into the information field. It's a little bit more confusing now also because we're talking about the Analyse 2 app, which launches very soon here. That's the new version, which has been years in development. It's amazing new app and a huge improvement over the current one. So that there's those two, the Blue Dot app, the Analyse app, the Analyse 2 app are one thing. And then we have the Pink Dot app, which is the original Healy app. And then the new version that was launched late last year, we also refer to as the Healy 2 app. So if you actually, that's the one where if you go to your app store, you'll see here, it's actually called Healy 2. So that's what it looks like. This is basically the new Healy app, the new Pink Dot app. It looks a little bit different, the icon, the app icon there, but referred to as Healy 2. When you download it, it shows up on your device as Healy 2 also. So there's a Healy 2 app, and there's also an Analyse 2 app that's coming soon as well. Sort of the second generation of these apps.
And know that the Healy and Healy 2 app operate all the microcurrent content.
Yes, yeah.
And then the other, whether it's the Analyse or Analyse 2, it does all the bioenergetic and the information field content.
Yeah, and your Healy device and the MagHealy both can connect to the Healy 2 app.
Yep. And so, which ties into the question that was followed up, under Dongni has been helping out in terms of a question around the energetic field. But what's the difference between the information field and the energetic field? So great question, because the information field, understand that everything is information, everything. So when we boil all the way down to the electron, and the electron is part of every molecule, whether it's the molecule of the chair you're sitting in or the skin cell of your body, everything is made at this atomic level. And what constructs the atomic level is an electron, right? There's electrons and neutrons, photons. These are the very small particles. And in this, as we get to better and better at seeing the tinier and the tinier, we're seeing that there's less and less solid at that level. It's just energy. It's just information. And so that's the information field. I mean, literally everything is the information field. And so when we're talking about the very tiny, we're talking about the information field. Now, when we talk about bioenergetic, now we're looking at the energy fields of this biology. Again, energy is what? Information at different vibrational states. Energy is everything. Everything is energy. The only thing that separates it is its frequency or energetic state, aka frequency. When we're talking about bioenergetic, this is the biology, the biological self of us or life forms. Could be an animal, could be a plant, right? Bio. And then we have the information field. So bioenergetic is still this information field of us that's just concentrating within these bodies. Information field in general is everything, including the chair you're sitting in. Okay. All right. Let's see. Can the Healy, this is another great question. So here's a great question. Can the Healy cause a healing crisis? If so, what does it look like? So well, first of all, what's a healing crisis? A healing crisis is, for instance, when your body is going through some healing. Now, it doesn't matter if it's emotional, physical. It doesn't matter what the healing modality is. A crisis is when the body is turning inward. It's actually it's consuming. That's the wrong word. It's redirecting energy towards your healing. And what that means is that if there is like if there's other systems that are using energy, the healing modality for the body will rob it, will take it to heal the most urgent thing that's happening in your body right now. So in other words, we cut our finger, all energy is given to that area to start to help coagulate the blood, the vessels and things, so that it starts to stop the bleeding, right? It literally takes a lot of resources and starts to just devour the tissue around there so that it can stop that bleeding, and then starts to build a patch, aka like a scab or some kind of a covering over it. It also wards off infection and foreign bodies, right? So a healing crisis is also, when it comes to, say, an emotional repair, can look like a detox, right? So if you ever had a deep tissue massage, it releases toxic burden within the body. So emotional detox is when it does release emotional linkages between the cell structures in our body, and it can come out in very tangible form in the body. So like a detox feeling can be like aches and pains and headaches, seemingly unjustified. And Healy, when it's running this system, it's actually doing certain things to downregulate disorder, upregulate order. In other words, to expel toxic burden and promote healing. And so your body's going to do the same thing when it's shedding or getting rid of toxins within the tissues when you get a deep tissue massage, as it does when you're running microcurrent and there's toxic burden within the emotional structures of the cells or the physical structures because of what you're ingesting. Here's the solution. The solution is water. The solution is hydration, folks. I promise you that if you ever go to a good masseuse and you do a deep tissue massage, they're going to ask you to make sure of two things. Well, three. First, highly hydrate before the appointment. Two, highly hydrate after the appointment. And three, move the body. Because it's movement of that body engages the lymphatic system. That's your detox mechanism in order how the cells cleanse themselves and bring in new nutrients. Also, the hydration is the way in which it expels through the excretion systems of our body. So to answer that, yes, you can experience a healing crisis, which can feel like discomfort. Could be an onset of seemingly unjustified emotions. It can be seemingly unjustified aches and pains, seemingly unjustified headaches. These are ways the body's getting rid of it. The solution or the added benefit is water. Water, water, water. And if you think you've had enough, have more.
That's especially this time of the year. It's so hot out there, and I think it's something like 75% of the population is at least some state of dehydration, because people don't realize how much water they do need to drink. So yeah, that's a awesome tip. So.
And a baseline equation, and that doesn't, not when you're out in the heat. A baseline equation is half your body weight in ounces of water per day. Now, if you're out working and doing exercise and or if you're carrying excess body weight, it's even more than that. So the more active you are, the more water you need. And I'm going to tell you another equation from a performance standpoint. Just 10% dehydration, just 3% dehydration can equate to up to 10% loss of muscle strength and 8% of the contractile and expansion speed. So it slows you down, takes away your energy, right? Just 3% dehydration. And I would say that 70% is a very conservative estimate, Jake, in terms of how many people are actually dehydrated. Just 3% dehydration. I'll bet you 90% of people are like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Got a connection question. Jennifer has a Healy professional device. Sometimes has to do a hard restart several times before getting it to connect. So what could she be missing here? So first of all, all the devices are same as far as the components inside, whether it's professional or resonance or gold. The internal components there are the same, so it wouldn't be related to the addition that you have. But Dongmi, thank you for putting some of the troubleshooting tips for Bluetooth in there. I think it's important, Ken, we talk about this a lot too. When's the last time you restarted your smart device, your phone? If you're doing the hard reset on your Healy device, but not resetting your phone or your tablet or whatever you're connecting to, that's a key missing step there as well. And depending on the app you're using too, if this happens over and over, and you have been restarting, say, both your Healy device and your smart device, if you've been turning the Bluetooth off, restarting your smart device, turning your smart device back on, turning the Bluetooth back on, and connecting, you're still having that issue, it's definitely worth trying to completely uninstall that app from your smart device. Then turn off the Bluetooth, shut off your device, turn your device back on, turn the Bluetooth back on, download the app again fresh from the App Store itself, install it, and then turn your device on, open the app, and then try it from there. That's usually that solves most of these types of connection issues, right, Ken?
Yeah, it does. And understand that the connection between the Healy hardware or the MagHealy, the chip, the Bluetooth chip that's in these are a little bit more unique than maybe some others, because once a device or once a smart device, once an app connects to this hardware, whether it's the MagHealy or the Healy, once an app connects to this guy, it's solid. You can't get any other app connecting to this at the same time. It's a locked in 1-to-1 ratio connection. So it does establish a code in the app for each device you connect, and the app will kind of retain some of that. You may notice if you've attached to multiple devices, when it goes to when you go to connect to Healy, that part of the app, when it opens connect to Healy, there'll be choices of different devices in there. But if you're having a hard time initially getting it going, as Jake said, how many people actually turn their smart device off on a regular basis? Three things are really, really important. Number one is that your smart device be of the latest version software, the latest version software. And know that also that the hardware itself has a limited software capability, and Healy needs a certain software capability. I think we're at 11. What are we at? Are we at 11.0 still on the Apple?
Don't remember.
Yeah, it's in the app, by the way. The app, you can go to the App Store and take a look at requirements, and you'll see if you have an older hardware, Android or iOS, iPhone, if it's older and it's not running a high enough version of the software, it's going to have a lot of trouble. But if you're in the newer categories, you'll be okay. Secondly, as Jake said, making sure that the app you're using is the current version. That's really important because these two devices, are communicating via a Bluetooth signal. And when there is issues with our smart device, I'm telling you, 99% of the time, it is not the Healy. It's not the Healy. It's the smart device.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just got to make sure that smart device is up to par. It's been shut down properly. And as Jake said, when you delete an app, you need to make sure and shut that phone down so they can re-clear all of the remnants of that app and then start fresh.
Yeah. Sometimes it's that simple. A lot of times, what's the old IT joke? Your computer at work's not working, and then go through all these steps and complain. You go to the IT guy. He says, have you restarted your computer? No. Restart your computer. Starts back up. Fixed.
That's
so
right.
Sometimes we forget about it because it's not a part of our normal sort of routine. But it's an important one.
I love it. Let's see. There's a great question. Sheila says, what does the spirituality program under the digital nutrition do if it's mainly about nutrition? That comes up a lot. I love this question. So what does it, okay, so spirituality, what is that? What is that? That's a side of us that has a belief structure, right? Spirituality is about a belief, in my opinion. It's about a belief, what you believe in. And so it's something that you don't have in your hand. I have a tangible pen in my hand, but if I do this, I can believe I have a pen that's kind of in the spiritual world. It's in the world of non-physical. Anything non-physical essentially is within this spiritual world. Now, spirituality has gotten other reputations. Might be religious connotation. It might be, whatever your beliefs are in spirituality. But imagination, the way the mind works, I should say the way the brain works. So the brain in action is the mind. Okay. The brain in action is the mind. The brain itself is an organ. And if it's not in action, it's not thinking or doing things. It's just an organ performing its job. Just like the stomach's job is to digest food, the brain's job is to manage resources. So when we are imagining, we're using the mind. And in order to imagine, the mind must be in a creative state. In other words, non-analytical. Because the more analytical you are, you're looking at your environment, maybe assessing the environment and either saying safe or not safe, and there's a lot of analytics going on. The spiritual side of us, or the non-physical side, is kind of more like the imagination. And to promote the imagination's activity requires a certain different type of chemistry, including the nutrients to support that chemistry. All right. So that's within the digital nutrition. There are nutrients supporting the chemistry to support the imagination or the creative side of us. There are ways to find out what nutrients are in that spiritual program within the digital nutrition, and you'll see what I mean. Okay, does that make sense? Jake, you want to add anything to that?
No, that was great. Appreciate that.
Cool. All right. So again, Healy names things, in ways that kind of maybe looking from a different angle. So
yeah.
All right.
Yep. MagHealy question here that says, when charging the MagHealy, explain the 3 settings on the device. So, if you have your MagHealy, you notice on the side there's a 1, 2, and a 3 right on there. So basically setting 1 is off. And most times if you're not using your device and you're just charging it, that's the setting that you're going to want to have it on when you're charging. Setting 2, when you put it on to setting 2, you see the lights on the top flash. That's when you can connect to your device. You can connect to it on setting 2 or 3. The only difference between 2 or 3, when you're running a program and it's on setting 3, the lights on the sides flash as well. That's the only difference there. So 2 and 3 are basically the same thing as far as when you're running the program. It's just if you want the lights on the top flashing or if you want the lights on the side flashing. But in general, if you're just charging it and you're not using it, it would be on setting 1, and then you have it on your charger and let it charge. But say for most programs, but if you're using an atmosphere program and you want to keep it on the charger so you can run it for longer, you can do that in 2 or 3 while it's on the charger. Just keep in mind, if you're trying to charge it back up and you're also using it at the same time, you're basically just you're not going to actually charge it. It might stay, depending on the type of charger you're using, the charging block, if it's a fast charger or not. But yeah, I know a lot of people like to use that sleep program at night and they keep it on the charger with the atmosphere program and run it for longer than the regular battery life if it wasn't being charged also at the same time.
I like that 2 setting because I like the ability to turn those lights off. If it's nighttime and it's near you, you don't want those lights flashing and you think that there's some, cool aurora borealis lights going on outside or something. And by the way, when you close your eyes, you still see a bit through the eyelid, right? The eyelid is just a way of protecting the eyeball. It doesn't stop all light. So those flashing lights tend to get our attention. And once upon a time, humans were both predator and prey. So moving and lights and things catch our attention. It stops us from relaxing and going to sleep. So the darker it is, I'm going to tell you, some people sleep with a TV on or have lights on or whatever. The darker it is, the more sound you will sleep. I promise you. And I know sometimes, I've heard people say, well, it's dark, I'm afraid, or you will increase your quality of sleep the darker it is. So, all right. Here's a question. Do you recommend electrolytes? Yes. And what kind? We're going back to hydration. Maybe we're talking about that. Mm-hmm. Why? Because electrolytes, that's a whole part of our conductive nature of this body. Conductivity. So when you're running electron flow through the body, conductivity is important. And the Healy app will show you if you're conductive or not. You'll get that message that says that a frequency being transmitted, but no electron flow through your body. That means you're bad connection, or your intensity is too low within this microcurrent program, or could be your body. And so electrolytes, what kind? I mean, there's so many out there. Just go for, electrolytes are all the minerals of us. They're the spark plugs of our nervous system. So just look it up. And I recommend looking at things that are from a more holistic, natural standpoint.
No synthetic sweeteners and things added in there. And
because a lot of times to improve the taste of something, then of course there's these sweeteners and these additives, and that's counterproductive.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to make sure that I'm an athlete. I will eat dirt if it means I'm going to improve the performance of my body. And I say this all the time to people around me. My family, wants to slap me half the time. It's not about the taste; it's about the benefit. Yeah. we can balance that out, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Only a few minutes left here. Let's see if we can go do some a couple minute long lightning round here, maybe. But Barbara had a question about using the Healy 2 app. Does it tell us if a microcurrent is a strong or poor connection? She was referring to in the old Healy Pink Dot app. There was it's been a while. I'm almost starting to forget some of these things because it's been so long since I used the regular, the original Healy app. But we had the black line indicated that it was a poor, that the current wasn't flowing. There wasn't a measurable current flowing, and the white line was good. I mean, everything was great. In the Healy 2 app, there actually will be words that pop up, a message that says a frequency is, Ken just mentioned it when talking about electrolytes, a frequency is generated, but no measurable current is flowing. If you see that message, you need to increase that intensity, maybe tighten the wristbands, put some water underneath them, drink some water, hydrate, that kind of thing. But it is built into there. It's just different. It's not white line versus black line. It's the frequency sort of wave animation stops when there's no measurable current flowing too, and the words pop up.
All right. Next one. What is the difference between digital nutrition and vital substances? So digital nutrition is a group of mixes of nutrients, groups of nutrients. Vital substances is individual substances, individual substance. Okay.
Yep. And you can't run the vital substances in the Healy 2 app via microcurrent. They're only available in the Analyse app to vibrate.
Yep. And the cool thing about that is you can use the vital substances to do a database analytics, and then it will show you what you need to add to your body, right? So, and you can go and look up at digital nutrition mixes, see which ones are in there, and run the microcurrent and eat them in your food. Okay. All right. What else we got? Would you please explain how the HealAdvisor works when I start it? Let's see. Okay. That's a long one, maybe. Let's see what we can do here. Let's see. I think that Dongni put some stuff in there for the HealAdvisor. And by the way, folks, there's some links that are in this chat. If you want to save the chat, the 3 little dots down next to the smiley face where you're putting your questions in there, tap on that. You'll say save chat, and you'll be able to save the chat at the end. You'll have all these links in it. So hopefully that answers that one. What else we got here? Microcurrent.
So there's some about, the HealAdvisor search module. Yeah, I mean, that's meant to be, you're running that search for particular programs, and then you can run those programs either on yourself or for somebody else. It's not, you're not scanning anybody when you're running a search in the HealAdvisor search app, not the Analyse app we're talking about here. We're not a resident scan, that kind of thing. If you're just going straight into the search module within HealAdvisor, searching for certain recommendations, it's not specific to different individuals, your clients, and that kind of thing. So.
Yeah. So, and that search module, by the way, when you put a word in there into the search bar, like, I don't know, what you want to put in there, freckles, you put in some word in there, it's going to show you some groupings, and you click on one of those groupings, and that's going to expand on what programs to use.
Yeah.
Okay. For freckles. All right. But there's
Yeah.
many groupings, or maybe just one group. But the point is, you can go through that, and that's going to be a great piece for you. All right. So Bonnie, thank you. Says it's been a phenomenal tech tip episode. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Are we caught up here? We are at the end of our hour. Like a heavy duty information on this tech tip. Love it. All right. Well, this recording will be available. It will be categorized, hyperlinked. So each one of your questions is going to have a category, and then be able to go and listen to that. Take notes. If you found this valuable, please let somebody else know that that we are here, because we're here to serve you for sure, and bring them on board, because I guarantee you, those of you who heard some of the answers, it probably generated more questions. So feel free to expand on that and bring back next week, and let's do it again. Thanks, Jake. Thanks, Dominique. I appreciate your help. You guys.
Yep. Thank you, Dominique. Appreciate it.
You guys are awesome. I look forward to next week, and everyone have a great week. See you later. Hey, don't forget to join us tomorrow for What's Up Wednesday. Yeah. What else is coming up?
There's a MagHealy training tomorrow at noon with Carolyn Van Macon. So
yes,
go to our events calendar, HealyAmericasEvents.com. All the events for the month, this month and for August, are posted there. The links to register for them, everything's available there. So HealyAmericasEvents.com.
All right, guys, have a good night. Bye, y'all.